So I'm going to be refuting the claim that global warming will be a serious threat in the near future. And what the speaker used to support this claim was that global warming will cause more intense and persistent natural disasters. Global warming will cause more resources to become scarce, and global warming will cause many health risks. For the first supporting claim, they use the support as temperatures rise, more water evaporates, and because of this, it provides more fuel for storms and natural disasters like hurricanes. The rise in temperature, and while it is true that more moisture in the air provides more fuel for storms, there's actually been a decrease in tropical cyclones. Basically, the second point they used to support their claim, their support claim, was that the rise in temperature leads to deadly natural disasters that have killed many people, which is true that in warmer weather, natural disasters are more likely to happen. It doesn't mean that more people are going to die because of it, but that doesn't have anything to do with it. Global warming has caused more dangerous heat waves that create wildfires. This is our supporting point does not really support the natural disaster and intense and persistent natural disasters caused by global warming, because heat waves don't exactly cause wildfires. The majority of wildfires are caused by human negligence and basically people throwing out cigarettes and burning debris and just being irresponsible with things. 90% of that is what causes, 90% of wildfires are caused by that. And the remaining 10% are caused by natural sources like lightning or lava. The fourth point they use to support the claim that global warming will cause more intense and persistent natural disasters is that heat waves also cause severe droughts, and that California's drought will cause a reduction in food production. While heat waves are more persistent and more common in droughts, they do not exactly cause droughts. Heat waves happen over a few days, while droughts can happen for periods as long as a few years. And because of this, it doesn't really stand to reason that heat waves cause the severe droughts. So for the second supporting claim, global warming will cause more resources to become scarce. They use the supporting point that glaciers and polar ice caps are melting at rapid rates due to increased temperatures, which will lead to scarcity of fresh water for millions of people. The issue I found with this point is that I was wondering, what do glaciers and polar ice caps have to do with fresh water for people? So I looked it up and I found that according to a United Nations Environment Program, groundwater is by far the most readily available source of fresh water, followed by lakes, reservoirs, rivers, and wetlands, and that groundwater represents over 90% of the world's readily available freshwater resources. So to say that melting ice caps and glaciers will limit the availability of fresh water to people isn't exactly relevant, because the majority of the water people use is from groundwater or groundwater sources, lakes and reservoirs. And something else about this claim is that a recent study done by NASA showed that extra snowfall in the Antarctic has been slowly accumulating and increasing the ice sheet mass, so that while some parts of the Antarctic are melting away, another part of it is actually gaining mass, which makes up for the losses that these melting portions lose, which help reduce the global sea level rise. So the second point they use to support the claim that global warming will cause resources to become scarce is that rising sea levels will cause millions to be displaced and create longer rainy seasons and flooding, which for the most part, longer rainy seasons and flooding do create issues. Global sea level rise has risen about only 8 inches since reliable record keeping began in 1880, according to the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. Or actually, let's according to, they don't have it. And that it's projected to rise another 1 to 4 feet by the year 2100. So to put this into perspective, many websites claim that rising sea levels will displace people, and they use a number sort of along the line, or many use numbers far larger than 1 to 4 feet. And this just doesn't really represent it all that well. So, and the last supporting point for that is that global warming will cause ecosystems to change, changing migration patterns and leading to extinction of certain animals, which rely on each other for survival. There's many things that go into the cause of extinctions of these animals. We say that global warming will cause, or is the sole cause of this, isn't really fair to say, because there's many things that even humans, deforestation causing displacement of animals and things like that. And these don't really help in the point that global warming will cause resources to become more scarce, because they're not really addressing it besides the first one. And the last supporting claim made was global warming will cause many health risks. And they use that fact that with warmer temperatures, they help smog and air pollution in cities and to persist and stay there. And that warmer temperatures make it easy for the growth of pollen, leading to longer allergy seasons. These are true statements to say that warmer weather does help in these issues, but it doesn't really say much about global warming causes or being this main reason for this, and that bad farming seasons. The last point that they used to support this claim was that bad farming seasons for certain it creates bad farming seasons for certain crops, which requires cold periods to grow correctly.
All right, I've got to stop you. You're at 9 minutes at this point, so sorry. All right, you're over-organizing the secondary points when you're responding them, because I heard point 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's point 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You just need to tell us what the claim is that you're responding to. Give us the numerical signpost to the main point, and then the individual points you can kind of respond to them. That just got confusing. I think there's a lot of re-explanation of what the advocate's argument was here, and sometimes you're doing that to give an explanation as to why they can't really make the inference that they're doing. Sometimes it just seems like there's an additional explanation of what's happening here, but one of the things that's problematic is that you're not making declarative claims out of a lot of these points. You're just kind of giving us a little bit of a context or some explanation. For instance, I think the notion that wildfires aren't caused by heat waves, okay, the heat waves are caused by global warming. That seems to be the inference that's going on. There's a little bit of an issue here, and that is that the problem isn't so much that the global warming starting the fire, it's that it's creating the fuel because we have these extended heat waves and as a consequence. So I think that, well, you've got a technically correct point. It doesn't really help your position that much, and it makes you seem a little bit less credible on that point. On the other hand, I thought you did a good job explaining the issue about the ice and glaciers and how that really doesn't affect the freshwater issue. But you spent a lot of time going over that, and it's really pretty simple. Nobody's drinking water from the Arctic or the Antarctic. That just doesn't happen. Nobody's pulling it in, raking it in. It all comes from groundwater for the most part. And that's the argument that you ought to be making. Is there any evidence from the advocate that groundwater has been affected by global warming? No, they haven't. So they haven't really demonstrated this particular issue. You got to keep it a little bit simpler. You're kind of going around in circles, like I said, with a lot of explanations. All right, I got to stop here because we're already over time on that one. Thank you.